Good day, this is Professor Will, CBMD, PhD. Today's Monday, July 23, 2018. It is 16:48, 17 seconds, Eastern Standard Time. AAS congruence, SAA congruence. Angle, angle, side congruence. When two triangles have corresponding angles and sides are congruent, as shown below, the triangles are congruent. Sample space, the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment. Pinching theorem, sandwich theorem, squeeze theorem. A theorem which allows the computation of a limit of an expression by trapping the expression between two other expressions which have limits that are easier to compute. SAS congruent, side angle, side congruence. When two triangles have corresponding angles and the sides that are congruent. SAS similarity, side angle, side similarity. When two triangles have corresponding angles that are congruent and corresponding sides with identical ratios as shown below, the triangles are similar. Satisfy, to show that substituting one or more variables into an equation or inequality works out. That is, the equation or inequality simplifies to a true statement. Scalar, any real number or any quantity that can be measured using a single real number. Temperature, length, and mass are all scalars. A scalar is said to have a magnitude but no direction. A quantity with both direction and magnitude, such as a force or a velocity, is called a vector. Inner product, scalar product, the general name for a vector product resulting in a scalar. The dot product is a simple example. Scale factor, the ratio of any two corresponding lengths in two similar geometric figures. Note the ratio of areas of two similar figures is the square of the scale factor. The ratio of volumes of two similar figures is the cube of the scale factor. Scalene triangle, a triangle for which all three sides have different lengths. Scatter plot, a graph of paired data in which the data values are plotted as XY points. Scientific notation, a standardized way of writing real numbers. In scientific notation, all real numbers are written in the form a times 10 to the power of b, where 1 is less than or equal to a, and a is less than 10, and b is an integer. For example, 351 is written 3.51 times 10 squared in scientific notation. Secant line, a line which passes through at least 2 points of a curve. Note, if the 2 points are close together, the secant line is nearly the same as a tangent line. Second, a unit of angle measure equal to 1/60 of a minute. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute and 3600 seconds in 1 degree. Seconds are indicated using the symbol, so 12 degree 45 transpose 33 means 12 degrees 45 minutes and 33 seconds. Or 12 plus 45 over 60 plus 33 over 3600 degrees. Second derivative, the derivative of a derivative. Second derivative test, a method for determining whether a critical point is a relative minimum or maximum. Second order critical point, a point on the graph of a function at which the second derivative is either 0 or undefined. A second order critical point may or may not be an inflection point. Note the phrase second order critical point is not in common usage among mathematicians or in textbooks. Nevertheless, it is a useful name for a type of point which otherwise has no name. Second order differential equation, an ordinary differential equation of order 2. That is a differential equation in which the highest derivative is a second derivative. Sector of a circle, a part of the interior of a circle bounded by two radii and an arc. Line segment, segment. All points between two given points, including the given points themselves. Segment of a circle, a part of the interior of a circle bounded by a chord and arc. Self-similarity, a property of fractals in which the pattern of the whole occurs in each part. Semicircle, half a circle that is 180 degrees arc. Semi-perimeter, half the perimeter of a plane figure. Separable differential equation, first order ordinary differential equation, which can be solved by separating all occurrences of the two variables on either side of the equal sign and then integrating. Sequence, a list of numbers set apart by commas, such as 1, 3, 5, 7. Sequence of partial sums, a sequence of n partial sums of a series. Series, the sum of the terms of a sequence. For example, the series for the sequence 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, ellipse 1, 3, 1, comma 1, 3, 3, is the sum 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus ellipse plus 1, 3, 1 plus 1, 3, 3. Set, a group of numbers, variables, geometric figures, or just about anything. Sets are written using set braces. For example, 1, 2, and 3 in braces is a set containing the elements 1, 2, and 3. No order does not matter in the set. The set A, B, and C in curly braces and CAB embraces are the same set. Repetition does not matter either. So AB embraces and AABBB and curly braces are the same set. Set braces, the symbol and braces which are used to indicate sets. Set builder notation, a shorthand used to write sets, often sets with an infinite number of elements. Complement of a set, the elements not contained in a given set. The complement of a set is indicated by A to the power C. Intersection of sets, the elements two or more sets have in common. Intersection is indicated by the upside down cap symbol. Set subtraction, a way of modifying a set by removing the elements belonging to another set. Union of sets, combining the elements of two or more sets. Union is indicated by the cup symbol. Cylindrical shell method, a technique for finding the volume of a solid of revolution. Shift translation glide, a transformation in which a graph or geometric figure is picked up and moved to another location without any change in size or orientation. Shrink compression of a graph, a transformation in which all distances on the coordinate plane are shortened by multiplying either all x-coordinates, horizontal compression, or y-coordinates, vertical compression of a graph by common factor less than 1. Note, when the common factor is greater than 1, the transformation is called a dilation or a stretch. Arm of an angle, side of an angle, either of the two rays making up an angle. Member of an equation, side of an equation, the two expressions on either side of an equation. For example, in the equation 2x plus 3 equals 5x squared, the members are the expressions 2x plus 3 and 5x squared. Side of a polygon, any of the line segments that make up a polygon. For example, a triangle has 3 sides. Sigma notation, continued sum, a notation using the Greek letter sigma that allows a long sum to be written compactly. Significant digits, a way of describing how precisely a number is written, particularly when the number is a measurement. Similar, identical in shape, although not necessarily the same size. Similarity test for triangles, AA, HL, SAS, and SSS similarity. These tests describe combinations of congruent angles and or proportional sides that are used to determine if two triangles are similar. Simple closed curve, a connected curve that does not cross itself and ends at the same point where it begins. Examples are circles, ellipses, and polygons. Note, despite the name curve, a simple closed curve does not actually have to curve. Simple harmonic motion, SHM, any kind of periodic motion that can be modeled using a sinusoid, that is, motion that can be approximately or exactly described using a sine or cosine function. Examples include the swinging back and forth of a pendulum and the bobbing up and down of a mass hanging from a spring. Simple interest, a method of computing interest. Interest is computed from the original principal alone, no matter how much money has accrued so far. Simplify, the use the rules of arithmetic and algebra to rewrite an expression as simply as possible. Simpson's rule, a method for approximating a definite integral using parabolic approximations of f. Simultaneous equation, system of equations, two or more equations containing common variables. Singular matrix, non-invertible matrix, a square matrix which does not have an inverse. The matrix is singular if and only if its determinant is 0. Sinusoid, a wave shaped like the graph of y equals sin x. Note the graphs of the both sine and cosine are sinusoids. Skew lines, lines in three-dimensional space that do not intersect and are not parallel. Slant height, the diagonal distance from the apex of a right circular cone or right regular pyramid to the base. Slope-intercept equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Slope-intercept is the form used most often as the simplified equation of a line. Slope of a curve, a number which is used to indicate the steepness of a curve at a particular point. The slope of a curve at a point is defined to be the slope of a tangent line. Thus, the slope of a curve at a point is found using the derivative. Slope of a line, a number which is used to indicate the steepness of a line, as well as indicating whether the line is tilted uphill or downhill. Slope is indicated by the letter m. Sine, sin, the trig function in sine written sin degree. For acute angles, sin degree can be found by the SOHCAHTOA definition. SOHCAHTOA, a way of remembering how to compute the sine, cosine, and tangent of an angle. SOH stands for sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. CHH stands for cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. TOA stands for tangent equals opposite over adjacent. Solid, geometric solid, solid geometric figure, the collective term for all bounded three-dimensional geometric figures. This includes polyhedra, pyramids, prisms, cylinders, cones, spheres, ellipsoids, etc. Solid geometry, the study of surfaces and solids in space, especially cones, cylinders, prisms, pyramids, polyhedra, and spheres. Solid geometry also includes the study of point lines, shapes, and regions in relation to solids and surfaces. Coordinates are not used. Solid of revolution, a solid that is obtained by rotating a plane figure in space about an axis coplanar to the figure. The axis may not intersect the figure. Solution set, any and all values of the variables that satisfy an equation. Inequality, system of equations, or system of inequalities. Solve, find all solutions to an equation, inequality, or a system of equations and or inequalities. Solve analytically. Use algebraic and or numeric methods as the main technique for solving a math problem. Usually when a problem is solved analytically, no graphing calculator is used. Solve graphically. Use graphs and or pictures as the main technique for solving a math problem. When a problem is solved graphically, graphing calculators are commonly used. Speed, distance covered per unit of time. Speed is a non-negative scalar. For motion in one dimension, such as on a number line, speed is the absolute value of velocity. For motion in 2 or 3 dimensions, speed is the magnitude of the velocity vector. Sphere, a three-dimensional solid consisting of all points equidistant from a given point. This point is the center of the sphere. Note all cross-sections of the sphere are circles. Spherical trigonometry, the study of triangles on the surface of a sphere, the sides of which are arcs of great circles, useful for navigation. Spheroid, usually this means ablate spheroid. Sometimes, however, spheroid refers to any ellipsoid that is approximately a sphere. Spiral, a curve on a plane that turns endlessly outward or inward, or both. Spirals usually have polar equations. Extraneous solution, spurious solution, a solution of a simplified version of an equation that does not satisfy the original equation. Watch out for extraneous solutions when solving an equation with a variable in the denominator of a rational expression, with a variable in the argument of a logarithm, or a variable as the radicand in the nth root when n is an even number. Square, a rectangle with all 4 sides of equal length. Formally, a square is quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides and 4 congruent angles, all 90 degrees. Square matrix, a matrix with equal numbers of rows and columns. Square root, a non-negative number that must be multiplied times itself to equal a given number. Square root rules. Square root rules are a subset of nth root rules and exponent rules. Square system of equations. A linear system of equations in which the number of variables equals the number of equations. The coefficient matrix of a square system is a square matrix. SSA, side-side angle. This is not one of the congruence tests or similarity tests for triangles. Note, when an SSA correspondence exists, there are often 2 possible configurations for the triangles. SSS congruence, side-side-side congruence, when 2 triangles have corresponding sides that are congruent. SSS similarity, side-side-side similarity, when 2 triangles have corresponding sides with identical ratios. Standard position, an angle drawn on the xy plane starting on the positive x-axis and turning counterclockwise. Stem plot, stem and leaf plot, a simple way to display the shape of a distribution. Step discontinuities, jump discontinuity, a discontinuity for which the graph steps or jumps from one connected piece of the graph to another. Formally, it is discontinuity for which the limits from the left and right both exist but are not equal to each other. Step function, a function that has a graph resembling a staircase. Stewart's theorem, a theorem relating the lengths of a sibiant to the lengths of the sides of the triangle. This theorem is easily proven using the laws of cosine. Straight angle, a 180 degree angle. Stretch, a dilation of a graph, a transformation in which all distances on the coordinate plane are lengthened by multiplying either all x-coordinate horizontal dilation or all y-coordinate vertical dilation by a common factor greater than 1. Note, when the common factor is less than 1, the transformation is called a compression. Strict inequality, an inequality that uses the symbols less than or greater than. The symbols less than or equal to and greater or equal to are not used. Subset, set A is a subset of set B. If all the elements, if any, of a set A are contained in set B, this is written A, cat B. Note, the empty set is a subset of every set. Use substitution, substitution method, integration by substitution. An integration method that essentially involves using the chain rule in reverse. Sum, the result of adding a set of numbers or algebraic expressions. Sum difference identities. Trig identities which show how to find the sine, cosine, or tangent to the sum or difference of two given angles. Addition rule. Sum rule for probability. A method for finding the probability that either or both of two events occurs. Sum to product identities. Trig identities which show how to rewrite sums and differences of sines or cosines as products. Superset. Set C is a subset of set D. If set C contains all the elements, if any, of set D, this is written C cap D. Note, every set is a superset of the empty set. Supplement of an angle. For any angle A between 0 degrees and 180 degrees, the supplement of A is 180 degrees minus A. Supplementary angles. Two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Surd, an irrational number that can be expressed as a radical, such as 3 squared or 5 over 3 squared. Sure event, an event that has 100% probability of occurrence. Surface, a geometric figure in 3 dimensions excluding interior points, if any. Surface area, the total area of the exterior surface of a solid. Surface of revolution, a surface that is obtained by rotating a plane curve in space about an axis coplanar to the curve. Symmetric, describes a geometric figure or a graph consisting of two parts that are congruent to each other. Symmetric about the origin, symmetric across the origin, symmetric with respect to the origin. Describes a graph that looks the same upside down or right side up. Formally, a graph is symmetric with respect to the origin if it is unchanged when reflected across both the x-axis and y-axis. Symmetric about the x-axis, symmetric across the x-axis, symmetric with respect to the x-axis. Describes a graph that is left unchanged when reflected across the x-axis. Symmetric about the y-axis, symmetric across the y-axis, symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Describes a graph that is left unchanged when reflected across the y-axis. Symmetric property of equality. The following property. If A equals B, then B equals A. This is one of the equivalence properties of equality. Synthetic division, a shorthand for polynomial division that can be used when dividing by an expression of the form x minus c or x plus c. Note, this allows an improper rational expression to be written as a sum of a polynomial and a proper rational expression. Synthetic substitution, the process of using synthetic division to evaluate p in bracket c for a polynomial p in bracket x and a number c. Note, the remainder from synthetic division, x minus c equals to p in bracket c. System of inequalities, two or more inequalities containing common variables. Note, system of inequalities sometimes include equations as well as inequalities. Linear system of equations, a system of equations in which each equation is linear.